Before the light of the gods entered the world.
Okay, people, welcome. Welcome to day number 10 of leisure gameplay of TitanQuest. How are you doing? Okay, so last time we couldn't finish it, but today we will. So it shouldn't take. Did I choose epic difficulty? Sorry, people. I need to check that. I'll see where it drops me. I think it was on normal difficulty. Sorry, I just arrived. Sorry that I'm a bit late. Yeah, this is normal difficulty. No. Back to main menu. No. Let's go into epic difficulty because we are on the verge of finishing epic difficulty. We're on the verge of finishing epic difficulty to finally access after 10 years the legendary difficulty. Legendary difficulty. There we go. Mimer's Maze. Okay, we left it here with our with the crazy doppelganger. Okay. Wait. Let me prepare the stream. I didn't have time to prepare the stream there. You monsters, stop. Stop. Let me prepare the stream. Yo, hello, Patrick. How are you doing? I read the messages over at Discord that they fixed their shit potentially. You and District were shouting, yes, they fixed. Not that they fixed it, that they've addressed it at least. How are you doing? Sorry that I always start a bit late, Patrick. It makes me feel terrible for you in that sense. Um, I'm sorry that you ended up uh, getting sleeping. Yeah, getting sleepy last time. Not because of how boring my chat was, I presume, but because of how no, that's a joke. It's because of how late it is over there. It's an absolute. It warms my heart that you all watch me there from Europe, and it's 5 hours ahead in that sense. So yeah, it's an absolute honor that you all watch me despite the difference in time zone in that sense. Yeah. So last time, yesterday precisely, I was like, Patrick, I left you speechless when I started talking um, about the last question you made to me, precisely. Nah, it's pretty late for me, and to watch your intelligence, I need to think even. Thank you, Patrick. Nah, that's where I fell asleep. XD. Yeah. I thought so. When you stopped replying, I said, something bad happened. I was about to say, Patrick, are you alright? I was beginning to think, I hope he didn't have a heart attack or some shit, and he's on the keyboard, like, like this on the keyboard. Because he was, I said, no, but he's young. There's no way that he's going to have things like that. He's perfectly healthy. I got worried then. Throughout the night, I said, that was quite weird. He always says goodbye. He always loves the. I was starting with the political debate. I said there's something clearly wrong there, but then I said, no, well, he's young. He must have gone to help his parents or something like that. I ended up thinking something like that, but I remained uh, uh, quite puzzled, quite intrigued by that in that sense. Yeah. No worries. So they are fixing it. They've addressed something. I think District left a screenshot there, and you a comment as well. A comment as well that they are fixing their shit. Finally, they are finally fixing their shit. That was fast. I hope it wasn't because of me. I bet I'm not that important. But no. Obviously, it wasn't because of me. It's because of the millions of players. Must be. I need to see. You know, Patrick. We need to see Ambra's reaction to this because if there's one person who didn't like the developers, he was also him. You watch the board not to miss anything, so if I fell asleep, you can finish my question. Ah, perfect, perfect, perfect. Perfect, 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 perfect. But no, don't fall asleep watching the stream on your desk, Patrick. No, if you have to go, you have to go, and that's pretty much pretty much it. But yeah, besides you then watch the boat in that sense. There's nothing else I could ask the life for in that sense. Okay, yeah, I do finish the questions. I do finish the questions, and then District came back, and we kept talking about his second question about the artificial intelligence. More or less, it was like that. But yeah, no. I would. It would be interesting if I could. You know what? Start the stream. That's the thing. I watch it in my bed on my phone. Ah, okay, okay, okay. No, I didn't know. I didn't know. Yeah, yeah. And doesn't isn't it way too small? The screen, like for that. Like I never do that generally because the screen is way too small for my taste. I'm used to big screens in that sense. That's the thing. Of course, you watch it. Well, it's more comfortable. That's for sure. Yes, but it's more comfortable. But the screen is way too small for my taste. Always is way too small for my taste. So yes, pretty much. It's either comfort or the size of the screen. That's why you need to have one of the first things one should invest on is a comfortable chair. This chair that you see here, it looks new. I used to love big screens. Now I watch everything on my phone. Even the stream right now, like right now, you are watching me from a phone. Ah, interesting, interesting. Or are you using a computer screen right now? The thing with that is that be careful because it does damage your sight. It does damage your sight using small screens all the time. That's something that is generally not talked about. Small screen all the time does damage your sight. That's why that's another one of the reasons. First time in my life having a not completely laggy phone and love using the animation and moves and fast. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I use an old phone from 2017 in that sense. I don't care about. I have to confess to you, I do hate phones. I love PCs and I hate phones. See, that's something from the 90s. That reveals my age, I guess. In that sense. Alright, they disrupt. We need to be careful. You cannot cast abilities. Fortunately, that's not a problem for me as I don't use abilities, but they still consume mana. I use a phone from 2017. I don't really care a lot about using my phone. I like I built a good PC and like that. Like it damages your sight looking at small screens all the time. That's the thing. That's something that is generally not talked about. Not only that, generally the angle that you use is like this. And when you do this, like with this angle down here, your neck is also damaged by it. If you do it on your bed, that one is not a problem, but generally people don't do that. So yeah, I would say those. Yeah. The No, you used to love the big screens, and now you watch everything on the phone. Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. I do like big screens, or at least I don't know. For example, the smallest screen I use most of the time would be my PS Vita. Here, this one would be the smallest screen, but even so, like more than the phone, because the phone I don't use it a lot. Because the 3DS has two screens, and the Switch does have a bigger screen. It's a tablet. That one is a bit bigger. But the phones that are like small, like would be like the PS Vita there, uh, you know, they kill the sight. They kill your sight. They do damage your sight, if, in that sense, because you are forcing your eyes to be focused on a very specific spot. Like, not that much close range vision. Like, the eye is like a muscle. By the way, side question. Do you drive? No, Patrick. Nope. I do not drive. I do not drive. I know how to drive. I do not have a, but I do not have a license. My mother does does complain about that constantly. Indeed. But no, as I generally don't, I'm not a person that goes out a lot, like just to do the English teaching even when needed, because I'd rather do it through Zoom. And as I've been telling you, I am someone who is only child, and I do, or the software development as well, also is pure screen, right? Like right here where I am. And as I've told you, yes, I'm an only child, and I will inherit my parents' condo management business at the end of the day, so I will have to drop some activities at some point, and take care of that, and take care of that because of that, and take care of that because of that. And well, I'll have to drop some activities, and depending how things go, and I will have to do that. So at that point, yeah, that one might imply driving, and I might have to, yeah, get a license in that sense and those things. But no, my dream, Patrick, I think I've told it. Yeah, not on a stream. No, my dream is to, I'm an Anglophile. My dream is to make enough money with the with the company, the business that I inherit, and etc. And since I'm an only child, I don't have to. While it is quite lonely sometimes, the positive aspect, let's say, is that really I don't have to share an inheritance, and because of that, I hope to uh, move to either Ireland or the United Kingdom. The problem is that the United Kingdom did the Brexit in that sense, but we will. I would see. I would see in the future. In the future, like in 10 years, not now. 7 to 10 years more, not now. Not now. As long as the company is here, yeah, I have to stay here. But if I make enough money and etc etc etc, if things go well, I hope to move there. The problem is exactly the one that you described for you the other day, that precisely it's a different thing moving there with a person by your side, with a responsible, uh, good woman by your side, and another one doing it alone. In that sense, I would like to do it like with a person, or meet a person there, or etc. In that sense, and like that. With that, I I would have the courage to do such a drastic movement in my life. In that sense, that would be more or less the case. I want to my love is the United Kingdom, but also I wouldn't like to be completely alone. My idea is to make enough money here and live like my family does here, uh, off rent, but over there. The problem is that the exchange rate does not favor me, and of course, I need to not be completely alone. That's the thing. Not be completely alone when trying to do such a drastic movement. That's pretty much the idea. And there, yeah, I would also get the listen. If you like mostly, no, I don't. No, I don't, Patrick. No, precisely, I don't. But no, precisely, I don't. But no, I don't mean the cities where that happens. I mean countryside. And no, trust me, it's not the case. Um, the polls are saying, Patrick, that that a man called Nigel Farage has the most votes. He has been trying to run for prime minister for a while, and I do believe that once that happens, yeah, that situation that you are talking about, which is true, it will dissipate hopefully. But still, I understand what you are mentioning and the concern, and I also have it. But yes, it's my love for that country goes beyond the the juxtaposition, let's say the contemporary situation of what you are describing, which is true and absolutely sad. It goes beyond that. And if I see that the situation is absolutely terrible, as I've said, Ireland is also beautiful. Ireland is also beautiful. The same goes for Scotland. The same goes for Scotland and Wales. I love the United Kingdom as a whole. As a whole. Why? You must be asking. Quite weird. A quite weird fetish you have there. One could ask. It was the first constitution of the world. I do believe that I want to live in a monarchy, not in a republic democracy, due to the fact that I think it's more stable. It provides the country a more stable situation. And third, while it is true that lately in my case, I would love to stay in Hungary, but with this government, I will need to escape. Patrick, you have a great option right besides you. I don't have that luck. You have Austria. Austria is perfect. You have Austria right besides you. You have Austria right besides you with a historic relationship with your country. For you, I would go for Austria in that sense. If the government is still like that, I get the feeling because it's the very same reason why I also tell you about me and that one. But I don't know Dutch. Well, they speak Dutch. They speak like German. They must speak a variation of German because it's derived. They all derived from Prussia. There was a time in which Poland, Germany, and Austria and Switzerland, the four of them, were united under something called Prussia. Basically, it's the original name. It was like the original Germanic, the original union of the Germanic tribes. But they are all mostly bilingual. Knowing English, you can move there, no problem. Most of them will be bilingual. It is true that it could be a problem for personal relationships. It's true. Oh yeah, German. Yeah, I know that the original name is Dutch. Is Dutch and it's Deutschland, like the real denomination. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I know it's the original name of German language is Dutch and Deutschland. It's for Germany. I know it, but Uh, but they are mostly bilingual. All of us in Europe are mostly bilingual with thanks to English, precisely. Most, most, most. The problem is, yes, personal relationships. If you want to have, yeah, if you want to find a girlfriend there, if you want to if you want to find a partner there, it can be a problem. That yes, but well, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. You have options. You're close to everything there. The language problem. Well, you just speak English. You just need. I would perfect my English and just go to Germany in that case, as it's more. How do I put it? It's more cosmopolitan. In a sense, it's less isolated than Austria in comparison. Germany has been more open regarding migration. I'm a nationalist, and I don't know if it's a bad trait of me, but I don't see one Hungarian word on the posters or Hungarian flags for 1 week, and I let it go crazy. No worries. I understand you a lot. Most people are like you. I'm an exception in that sense. I'm an exception. I'm an exception because, well, uh, I, I may be a bit cold regarding that, but I really do not care that much about the colors of a flag on a pole, but the ideas of the person behind it, if you know what I mean. For example, what's the use of having a flag that you like and a culture and everything if then it's making you miserable, it's making you poor economically because of shitty policies, because of not understanding that communism brings poverty or whatever. And yes, but I understand that part of me is quite weird to accept for anyone listening it. So yes, I get you. Most people are like that, but in my case, I am heavily logic oriented. And okay, yes, uh, it's where you were born. It's where you were born, nationalism and etc. And it's the people who took care of you. But even in that case, I would argue the ones that took care of you are your parents, not the country. Because of what I was talking about yesterday, I believe that family the family is more should be more predominant than the influence of the state on the child or the individual as a whole. I love to speak Hungarian. I love Hungarian literature and the Hungarian deserts, man. Well, that's the thing. That's the part that I completely get. That is your case. That's the part that I completely get, without a doubt. But well, while I could say the same for Argentina, I could say the same because really, while the economy and those shits is not perfect, it is true that we have like food that is envied all around the world with the stick and those things, and that would be the nationalism. It is also true that I really don't like football. I really don't like a lot of things. I am quite objective regarding those things. If I had to choose one country with all things considered, of course, if I could, I would directly choose as well the United States, only because of being far away from Middle East killers and the Russian government. Only because of that, I would choose the United States because of the position. But if we are talking about Europe, Same concept. I want to stay as far as possible from problems. So if we're talking about Europe, that's why I also mentioned Ireland and the UK. Add on top of that the language and everything. The other option I would say it's Switzerland, but I don't like that it's not very technological based. I don't like that it's not that it's not a technological hub in that sense. I don't like that part. I don't like that part. In that sense, I don't like that part. I like that the country is at least a bit more technology oriented or technology developed, which I know it has it, but it's like no, like in Switzerland, outdoor activities are like very common, and I'm an indoor guy, so that's also a reason in that sense. So yeah, if I had to pick one to to do so, it would be the United Kingdom as a whole. The United Kingdom as a whole. It is separated from the conflicts of debate time. Well, we are debating. We are debating about a European geography in that sense, and well, personal preferences. The United Kingdom is separated from Russia. It has not been invaded in 1,000 years. It has it is quite international and open regarding language because it speaks English. That's a natural bonus. While the superpower of the world is the US, the United Kingdom does not have free weapons, so that makes me feel even a bit safer. So yeah. Oh, okay. Which job would you choose if you were me? If I were your age, by default I would do like Ambra is doing, software development. By default, because of the money. But you like social things. That's not something that is part of my personality, Patrick. Sorry, my dream has been to be in front of a screen or teaching one-on-one and avoiding those things. But among the ones that you mentioned to me that you liked, I would go psychology. Oh, I learned programming. I wanted to kill myself. No, 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 no. Why? It was way too cold. You against the computer, you against the PC. I love it. I do love it. I do love it. I have done websites. I sometimes do websites for small companies. In that sense, besides the English teaching. Among the ones that you told me that I think you liked, sociology and etc. and those things, I would go psychology because of the amount of people that will have psychological problems in the future because of our current society. Especially, I go to try communication and media major, and earlier I would go with psychology, something like that, especially of well, I have to confess it, especially of women, because they will be the ones that will suffer the most in that zone of careers that you are telling me. Communication and media major and early, and what would it be, like a journalist? Is that like a journalist, something like that? Communication and media major under liberal arts. I don't know. I don't know what would that imply? Like, what's the job? The specific job. Like, what would be the activity that you see yourself doing? Which one would be? Which one would it be? Which one would it be? like a journalist behind at a TV set, or because communication at me is way too general. Like journalist, communication, and product management. Product management could be PR. Yeah, yeah. I don't see why that wouldn't work. I don't see why that wouldn't work. I don't see why that wouldn't work. Yeah, I don't see why that wouldn't work. Especially the part of the product management. But my goal is to be a communicator. And what do you want to communicate? Like. But when you say communicator, like, what would you like? What would you communicate to people? Like about politics, about society, well, hang on. Here I have a checkpoint. Yeah, there we go. I'll leave that there. It has to be communicate, and like, what does it do? Like, what does the job do? I'm genuinely curious. I've never heard a description like that. Like communicator in general. Like just saying things. I don't picture the context. Like the context. The journalist, yes. The TV set and news about whatever the topic of the day is. But communicator in general, like what? Like the ones that you mentioned to me. Like that the ones that talk about society in general. Like that. Like the ones that sometimes you mention to me over at Discord and here. Communicator is someone whose main role is to share information clearly and effectively, usually between different people, groups, and organizations. The exact duties depend on the context, but here are the main types and what they typically do. Share information effectively between people, groups, or organizations. What they typically do. Interesting. Uh-huh. Well, and what kind of information? Like in general? Like in general? Interesting. I never heard of a profession. The world has changed way too much compared to what I was used to. What I was used to was lawyer, doctor, accountant, those things. So, yeah. I think it is highly positive that all of those shitty careers are dying. Political information, campaign information, media and public. Ah, okay, you want to... that explains a lot. You want to debate endlessly for the rest of your life, like you do with me. You want to debate endlessly, forever. Be careful, Patrick. That may not get you a lot of money. Make sure to find a way to extract money off of it, because then otherwise you will be miserable. Be careful with that. Because I do this like a hobby. Consider that. My family has a condo management business. As I've been telling you, I do the English teaching. I have done the software development. I have I could have gone for lawyer. So consider that. Consider that. Make sure you find a way to extract it money. Yeah, I want to debate. And I want to debate about why I am the right one. make sure you find a way to secure money out of that, because it may be a bit difficult to secure money with that, because debate is beautiful, but it's not what makes the world spin. What makes the world spin are the businesses and the money, in that sense. Of course, it's not the most important thing, but you might be a bit miserable if you don't pay attention to that. In that sense, try to find it. You will need a lot of ingenuity to find a way to ensure that you can, in that sense, the journalist part at least secures it a bit more, and the other one that you mentioned, the PR management. If I think if it is what I think it is, like for a company, like managing products for a company, in that sense, the part of management of the image of the product or representing those things. In that sense, be careful with that. Be careful with that, because then you will debate everything you'd like, or all you want, but then you will need a better income. In that sense, be careful with that. And now I see why for you I must have been like the first time you watched me. A quite unique phenomenon because of my style of debate. In that sense, now I explain myself a lot of things. Like, oh shit, is lagging. Oh shit, is lagging only in this zone. Why do you lag only in this zone? Do not implode on me. Now I see why. It must have been like quite curious for you, the way I debate. The way I debate. I debate from metaphysics rather than emotion. Generally, a debate is more about emotion and convincing people through emotions. And generally, I am not convincing precisely through my emotions, in that sense, but through pure cold logic and saying why every 2 seconds. So yeah, quite interesting. Quite interesting. I wish you a lot of luck, but I would advise you to be careful with what you consider your passions. I did do my law career thinking that just because I had a pretty good memory, and everything, that just repeating laws and everything was going to be what I liked, and really it wasn't about that. In that sense, it was about going to the it wasn't about theory at all. It wasn't about theory at all. It was all about wasting your time, well, wasting at the courts and writing papers and a lot of stupid things and doing a lot of extroverted things that I am not suited for. So, what the fuck? Not again. Why do people often think too simply? Sometimes I feel like they are just straight ahead into the 2 meter deep pool without thinking. Well, we talked a bit about that the other day, Patrick. It's because, just like when you are driving precisely, the brain, when it repeats the same activity several times, it ends up going into autopilot. And that's why we have car crashes and car accidents, because it goes into autopilot, the brain goes into autopilot, and you just um, it's like a defense mechanism. It's like a defense mechanism at the end of the day. Since the brain does the activity several times, it ends up getting bored, and in order to not feel that anymore, to not have that chemical reaction, right? It defends itself. It's an instinctive defense. Yeah, I know. Drop frames. It depends on the area. Shut up. Yes, I know. Now it should be smooth. It's an instinctive defense from routine. Routine can kill even the most um, brilliant, the most brilliant of minds. In that sense, I get that feeling. It happened to me during high school and university, and it will happen to all of you eventually. So yes, pretty much. Oh, we have a lot of good swords here to choose from. Sadly, they are fast attack speed. Uh, how can you avoid it? It's quite difficult. It's quite difficult avoiding going into autopilot after doing the same routine for years, for months, and then years and years and years. How do you avoid it? Well, precisely, that's the part of the money that I mentioned to you. If you have enough money, well, you will have a degree of freedom that will allow you to have time to do activities that break that routine. For example, for me, believe it or not, is this one. It's streaming and talking to you all. Precisely, because as I told you, I do not like football, and while I do have some friends in real life from law school that perfectly respect that, and we can have a chat and everything, really I do not like football, I do not like sports, I do not like those things, so my friends are from Star Wars The Old Republic, um, and of course you all from the stream. So in that sense, I can get in contact with different cultures of you all because you're from different countries. From the US, in the case of Star Wars: The Republic, also from Australia and etc. And more of the Anglophone world. Here, more with the European world, that is sort of you and me as well, as I am Italian. So that helps me, that enriches me to a point that it helps me break any routine I do about the teaching and those things. Then another part, on your own. On your own is the second real answer I would also give you. um, Through culture, through not being ignorant. Patrick, people who are ignorant can see beyond those things due to the fact that their minds have been enriched in that sense. How do you enrich yourself? Reading books, watching movies, watching TV series from all times. For example, you know that what I wanted to comment to you, I think in the past, but I didn't have the time. I watch a lot of cartoons from the 90s and the early 2000s that I loved as a kid. Some I didn't have time back then to watch, and I'm watching them now. Through culture, through art, because art, be it through a book, a movie, a painting, or whatever, video games, different variety of video games, culture is the only thing that can fascinate your mind enough as to not be fall prey of that routine. How would you define your happiness and general happiness for human beings? Precisely, not being affected by that routine through um, through now I'll give you a definition, a more classic definition of it, but precisely the the ability the ability to be able to be fascinated even in your later years. Not losing happiness is not losing the ability to be fascinated in general. I'll repeat it. Happiness is not losing the ability to be fascinated, or retaining, to use a positive definition. I don't like negative definitions, like saying not something.
Stop here, Titan Slayer.
Is the ability to be fascinated by something or by someone in general. When it's by someone constantly throughout time and etc., it's called love. When it's by something, it's culture. That's why I mentioned to you the TV shows, the books, the paintings, the movies, everything. Either a human creation or a creation of nature, in that sense, loving a person. The ability to be fascinated, even when you are older. Never losing the ability to be fascinated by metaphysical reality. Generally, there's a direct correlation between ignorance and not being able to be fascinated. That nothing surprises you because you've lost the sensitivity. Most people, what you are asking me, that you said are straight head into 2 meters deep pool without thinking. The autopilot, the automatic pilot. This has been analyzed, psychologically analyzed. It's a direct correlation with losing the ability to be fascinated by metaphysical reality. Of course, for relativists, they wouldn't call it metaphysical reality, but you get the point. Not being fascinated by what you can see. In my case, because of a realist, it would... What the fuck? Why is it like...
Really are persistent. But why are you even here? Does the fate of the Aether concern you that much?
For me, it's to be curious about the world, also. Well, being fascinated has to do with that.
Look, here is a portal to your home. Use it, hero. You have earned your glory and your rest.
Yeah, it's directly tied to that. It's directly tied to that. It's directly tied to that. Directly tied to that. But pretty much what I'm telling you, I do believe it's a bit deeper. Like being curious is a consequence of what I'm telling you. Because of the fact that you don't lose the ability to be fascinated, on the contrary, you can be curious about the world and metaphysical existence. And because of that, you are curious. It's a consequence. But I'm trying to tell you the root of it. Why are you curious? Would be my immediate question after that. Think about why you are curious. And remember, I told you to always ask yourself why. Why are you curious? Why are you curious? Because you have not yet lost the ability to be fascinated by reality. It's a consequence of that. It's a consequence of that. I go straight to the root of it, because you asked me for a definition, and I cannot define happiness by saying just curiosity, because it's a different thing. Curiosity is a consequence of not losing that ability to be fascinated. And as I've said, it's the root of what you are asking me is the ability to be fascinated, not by anything that you observe in reality. And of course that demands observing a lot as well, and as a direct consequence of that, precisely you're a curious person, because from there, sorry, this boss is quite tough, huh? Now I will get to more attention to the question, because it's a very interesting, fascinating topic. Precisely, the ability to be fascinated by metaphysical existence, as a direct consequence, brings intelligence, and intelligence brings curiosity. It's like a consequence. Precisely, it's a consequence of it. I defined it with the root, because you cannot define things in relative terms, because then you are not defining them. I define them in absolute terms, and in that sense, that fascination that I mentioned to you, well, it's a more of an absolute definition. That is the key. That is the key. The curiosity that you highlight, and the intelligence in general that you highlight, is they are consequences of it.
You just have to play the hero, don't you?
I don't know what you think about it,
Ow.
but I would say that what you describe is the consequence of what I'm telling.
Asgard, and Surtur's opening his side as we speak. Gladsheim will drown in a sea of rock and fire. And then the giants will rule the 9 worlds, and I will lead my Jotun brothers. You will regret picking the wrong side the next time we meet.
Okay, time for the final boss. It wasn't this one. I don't know what you think, Patrick. In a realistic view, what would be a perfect youth? What would a perfect youth look like? Huh? Any? In a realistic world? Well, in a realistic world, due to the fact that the purpose of human existence isn't personal pleasure, a perfect youth would precisely imply everything that our ancestors lived. Precisely, our Roman ancestors, our European medieval ancestors. And you must be thinking, but they weren't technologically advanced, and they had a lot of problems, like the Black Pest. Doesn't matter if it was your Italian ancestors or my Hungarian ones. Really, in Europe we suffered a lot of, our ancestors suffered a lot of problems. Yes, true, but technology would have eventually developed. But without relativism. A perfect youth would imply that the person can find love without issues in his youth, that he can assume the biologically natural role that the arrangement of molecules and particles, if you want to call it God, no worries. In my case, the objective arrangement of molecules and particles created. So if that objective arrangement is that of a young male, because of the biological processes that he suffers, that we suffer, the person should find love in his youth. Without a doubt, I would say that. It is, as I've said, which is love, as I told you, the fascination, a very special kind of fascination. It's a fascination for not losing the ability to be fascinated, the ability to be fascinated in a positive definition, the ability to be fascinated by a person. I would say that is a huge portion of a perfect youth in that sense. Then the love of his of the parents of the person in which you respect them instead of what we have nowadays, in which we are and what we have had since the 1700s, in which we are told that our parents are stupid, what I mentioned. So being taught by your parents rather than the educational system, because that's an influence of communism, would be another aspect. And also the cultural aspect. I would say that a perfect youth in a realist world, which would be the medieval ages and everything, and ancient Rome and etc., it implies absorbing all of the possible culture in the metaphysical plane of time and space. For example, in ancient Rome, do you know what's the main difference between the Germanic barbarians and the Italian Roman ancestors that I talk so much about? Is that Romans, once they conquered Greece, they brought the teachers of Greece, the great thinkers of Greece, to Rome to teach their children. They were wise enough as to recognize their own initial ignorance, and that takes a lot. Instead, Germanic barbarians did, just when they took Rome, they just burned the books instead. That's the difference. I would say that that's also another aspect, to have parents that do that for you, just like the Roman ancestors did for the children. And that act is the true act that is never mentioned due to ignorance, the one that allowed a society to flourish. Rome was the body and Greece was the spirit, but the body recognized its own ignorance initially. Then, of course, after they absorbed throughout hundreds of years the knowledge of Greece, they did become more advanced, and like that society advances. Now, what do we have nowadays as a contrast? We have politicians, liberal politicians, telling children, telling all of you pretty much, not you, you're not a child, but telling young people in general, sub 20 years, that your parents are all idiots. That's the message. Books, burning the part of the burning of the books of the Germanic tribes. Pretty much books are considered shit, pretty much. If you want to scare a thief, throw him a book. Disgusting bot. Disgusting bot, your message was never seen. Your message was never seen. The shield worked. Your message was never ever seen. Yeah, now you are getting banned. Yeah, cheap. Disgusting bot. Your message was never seen. Disgusting bot. Hang on a second, Patrick. Let me ban the bot. And why do you think school is important when school system is influenced by communism with low-income teachers? No, it happens in a lot of countries. Why is it important? Well, that's precisely the school system. Why is it important? I mentioned it yesterday. I do believe that the school system is not there to educate you. You should be educated by your parents. We all should be we all should be educated by our parents, not at school. By educated, I mean being taught about life, about observations of metaphysical reality. Because I do not believe precisely in the influence of the state through the school on the education of the children. I think the school is there to teach you about math, about language, about physics, about things that naturally anyone who potentially is a parent or is a parent in reality naturally cannot tell his children about, because we cannot cover all of the sciences. Like I can teach, for example, in hypothetical situation, Patrick, imagine I can teach my children a lot about philosophy, but really I'm terrible at mathematics. I'm really terrible. I'm really terrible at mathematics and accountability and economics and those things. Maybe not at on a theory level, but yes, regarding the numbers. I'm terrible at doing mathematical operations. If I put effort, my average in math was 8 out of 10. It wasn't bad, but I had to put in triple the effort compared to something like English, without a doubt. So for that, yes, I think that is the purpose of the school system, to cover the natural not a deficiency, the natural shortcomings of our knowledge. I do not believe in the school system as a social tool, which I know is quite controversial in that sense. I do not believe in that. I believe that it's there to cover the shortcomings that naturally parents cannot give us. Naturally, because for example, my parents are accountants and some other things, but mainly the main career was accountant. But pretty much my mother's brilliant idea was to teach me to hire a teacher to teach me English since I was 7. That is the part of it that it needs to cover. Now, the other aspect. There's an old British saying that says education rules the nation. I do believe that knowing about all of these sciences, math and etc., and linguistics and everything, it is required to have a nation of intelligent people on average. Why do we need that? Because otherwise the population is stupid and a politician could influence and make them ignorant. For example, what I talked to you about my country. My country basically has had like 5 bankruptcies and economic crises. Why? Because the population is ignorant enough, or was up until recently, to not understand that when you give social assistance constantly, what you said, I think you called it gypsies or whatever, getting social assistance from the state, that increases the expenditure of the state, right? And when the state spends more money than what the overall amount of taxpayers can give to the state, it causes inflation. If that prolongs throughout time, then it causes a bankruptcy. And then inflation goes to shit, like it happened here, but people are way too ignorant to understand it, and they keep voting populists who will give them a small social assistance, and then that will cause inflation. For example, here they paid people for each child they had, and also they gave women free pensions, which broke the pension system because they were supposedly oppressed for 70 years or whatever by the patriarchy or whatever the fuck that they were saying. They gave free pensions to women, basically free pensions without working the standard 30 years that the classic European system post World War II of Bismarck in Germany, created for all of our countries, basically. So basically that is in order to not be manipulated by politicians, I would say, to not be so emotion driven, I would say, school, to not be so emotion driven, to not be ignorant. But the perception of reality, I think it should come from home. I think the basic, the manners of the person as well, the courtesy, how to address people. You can see that, for example, Patrick, you can see that even if I say harsh things on stream for anyone who is even a bit liberal, they are intolerable. I do say them in a quite polite way, because I do not believe in insults as a way of debating and convincing anyone of anything. And that you don't get it at school. You should get it at home. How to handle situations like that. Your sense of responsibility, those things. School, I would say it is to give you concepts, like I said. If it tells you that you just suspend, the state goes into a bankruptcy, and that's needed so you are not ignorant and vote populists, for example. That would be the usage of the school system. I do believe the school system in a lot of our countries is flawed, though I'm a harsh critic of it. For example, in Denmark and in the United Kingdom, it is quite common for children to have classes in which they are taught how to deal with frustration. That's another one of the reasons I admire the UK a lot, regardless of the situation that you are mentioning about that, which I know is a problem, and I hope Farage fixes it. There are classes to deal with frustration, for example. I think the educational systems in some countries addresses for introverted individuals as well, while in most of our countries it only addresses for extroverted individuals. It was my case. My country did not address for introverted individuals like me at all, and I bet it's the same in a lot of your countries. But it's not the case in the UK or Denmark. They do address for those cases, and I think that enriches society as a whole. Right? I should also mention to you that my vision, while it is as neutral as possible, Argentina was influenced by the educational British system, as our founder was an Anglophile precisely like me, believe it or not. In that sense, it is true that we descend from Spain and everything, but the educational system, the founder of the educational system, brought the initial teachers of Argentina were from Boston, specifically from the zone of Boston, from the US, when the US was still a British colony or was recently independent. It was still very, very influenced by the British system of education of teachers. So in that sense, that is the reason. It's a relationship that very, very few people know. In the link that establishes an remote educational link between the UK and precisely my country. It is true that then a lot of Argentines do have a rivalry with the UK constantly and etc. But for those of us who are not ignorant precisely, we understand all of this that I'm telling you. I left you speechless again, Patrick. Don't tell me that you are sleeping again. Don't tell me I left you speaking again, or it was so interesting that that it's pretty much like that. It's pretty much like that. I do believe that when you were in elementary school. Okay. I've got put in a very bad class between 18 gypsies. They are the lowest of the angry. Basically, I ruined my life, and now I'm trying to rebuild my confidence and my social anxiety because of that. I believe anxiety solved through introspection, Patrick. Yes, I also had the not that because it wasn't like that. Not like you are mentioning lowest of low people. No, it wasn't like that. But yes, in elementary school, I also was grouped with people who with families that were more ignorant than what I did then in high school and and university. In university, it was more of
It will be worth it. I promise.
it was more of my level in that sense. In that sense, not of my level of not economically. I mean, intellectually, not economically, intellectually, like more moral values. I get what you say. Don't worry. I bet you will remember my words. When you go to university, generally there will be a filter. There will be a filter that will ensure that doesn't happen. I do agree with you. I do agree with you on those things. I do agree those things are not well thought out, without a doubt. Yes, yes, yeah. It ruin your yeah because I always suggest you this. Spend time with people who are either that you perceive that they are more intelligent than you, or at least, hang on a second, that you perceive as more intelligent than you, or that while not as intelligent, that they have manners, that they have courtesy, that they are thoughtful, that they are kind. In that sense, I would suggest you that. I know that at school we cannot pick, sadly, and we are children, and I've had like an educated mates at school, let's say, and we don't get to pick that. But I will say this. I'm sorry. Catholic schools do solve that issue. That's why I told you go to a Catholic or Protestant, I don't know, religious high school, even if you don't believe in God. I do suggest that openly to anyone. It's been my experience, I'm sorry. In Catholic high schools and universities, I'm sorry, there's discipline, or Protestant, doesn't matter. If it's either in Ireland or the UK or whatever, or in Germany, Protestant, doesn't matter. Or I don't know, or Calvinist or whatever. That derived from Roman Catholicism, doesn't matter which branch. I would suggest that because there's discipline. That's my experience, my life experience. There's discipline. I went to an atheist elementary school and there was no discipline. I went to a Catholic high school and there was discipline. I went to a Roman Catholic. You read the Discord? Yes. I went to a Roman Catholic high school and university and there was discipline, Patrick. I would suggest you that. I read it. District, how's it going? Happy Wednesday to you as well. How you doing, District? Yes, I read it. They will fix it. Oh, don't tell me that you told them because of me, District. Now I'm flattered. I'm not that important, District. No, hello. No. Just joking. I presume they were planning to fix it eventually. And you talk about social anxiety? No, many people reported it. Okay. Many people reported it. Okay. So okay. No, I know. I said it as a joke, District. I knew there was no way it was because of me telling you. No. Okay. Okay. You could please tell me when they finally do so, and we continue there. Anyways, here I'm getting enough trouble as to be entertained for the time being. Okay. So they will fix it. They will fix it. There's hope. There's hope for them. There's hope for them. District, you say? There's hope for them. We don't throw them to to the catapult yet. We don't throw them to the catapult yet. Okay. So hold the torches. Okay. No, that's okay. That's okay. Please tell me when they do so, and as I told you, because of you asking me to do the review of the game and that you like me playing the game and etc. I will get to the final analysis. It will be put on hold as I wrote at Discord. Okay. Yeah, I wrote your messages, your two messages, before I started the stream here as I came home. I read it. Some 1 hour ago. Basically, and I saw your screenshot. Thumbs up, yeah, and I saw your screenshot. District, yeah. Can you talk about social anxiety? Sure, Patrick. And District, if you would like another topic of debate, tell me. Here we are debating again. With Patrick, we love debating about these things, but never feel excluded. If you have another topic, you also tell me. I talk about both of them. Regarding social anxiety, don't worry about Drakenstein. You tell me when they fix it, and I get back to it. I will do that exception. Otherwise, I would have tore the game apart. No worry. Social anxiety. First of all, Patrick, what I'm going to tell you is that I do not believe in modern reports. Sorry if anyone wants to. If anyone hates me after I say this, I debated this with Ambra the second time he visited me ever, some months ago even. I do not believe in modern reports of attention deficit syndrome, autism syndrome, and all of the spectrum of psychological disorders that are reported modernly. I'm sorry if anyone hates me. If someone cannot tolerate listening to this over at YouTube, there's the exit. No problem at all. If you cannot tolerate listening to this phrase, now I will explain why. I do not believe in those things. In modern reports, the report needs to be at least before the Obama administration for me to consider it. Specifically, before the Obama administration for me to consider it real. Now, from those reports, a lot of those social anxiety issues that you mentioned, there's a portion of truth that because of how social media works and all of that shit, there is a bit of social anxiety because there's a liquid society, as Sigmund Bauman, a modern Polish philosopher, mentions. Everything is liquid, nothing is solid. In other words, what Bauman tried to say was that everything is relativist. It's just that he didn't say it with those words, because he wasn't as a brutal conservative as I am, and I say it with all of the words. It's relativism. Everything is liquid, nothing is solid, nothing is an absolute definition like I love doing. That's why I love establishing absolute definitions, objective definitions, because otherwise everything is liquid. The real reason why you perceive or that you have that social anxiety, I would say that you don't have it actually. That you perceive that you have it, it's because of this concept of liquid society, of nothing being defined in absolute terms, which is what I do, the opposite. So, my suggestion, define things in absolute terms a bit more, and you won't feel any social anxiety. Do introspections about your life and etc., and you won't feel social anxiety in that sense. The fear that you mentioned of dying alone, Patrick, is the biggest one that we all have. But even so, as I told you, there will be a group that will be more intelligent and fix it. And once that is fixed, really, the rest of the social anxiety will dissipate easily. In that sense. Regarding the fact that I don't trust modern reports of both autism and which was the other one, the attention deficit syndrome. I do not trust any of those modern reports due to the fact that not so long ago, let's say 10 years ago, I derive conclusions from observing reality. 10 years ago, over at elementary school, when we were all children, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, in my case, same human beings, same situation. Were there massive reports of autism and attention deficit syndrome and etc, 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 etc? And last time I checked, the human beings are still the same. We are not fucking aliens. We are not there wasn't any kind of biological mutation from outer space, anything at all. So if it's related to those, no, I do not trust the reports. I think it's being over-reported on purpose to do more social spending, to do more public spending, and destroy the economies. So everyone is more poor, and the people who are rich remain even richer. I'm sorry. Your anxiety triggers when I see alcoholics, people yelling and trying to find what? Or I'm sitting in a restaurant and all people start arguing loud and acting like animals. It got worse by the years. Oh, but that's not social anxiety. I'm sorry. That's not social anxiety. I'm sorry, Patrick, that's not social anxiety. You know how that is called? That is called being educated. That's not social anxiety. That's not social anxiety. That is being educated. And it's a natural reaction. What all of the situations that you described. In the 90s, when I was 5 years old, in the early 2000s when I was 10, in the 10,000s when I was a teenager, you should explain what is social anxiety. I don't believe in it, District. So he can understand. I don't believe in it. I don't believe in its existence. That's not social anxiety what he's describing, if you ask me. Not only if you ask me, it is not. It's called being educated. If he gets uncomfortable, let's say, because he's looking at someone being high, being drunk, that's not social anxiety, because it replies to reason. He understands in his brain that the person may not be in control of his own self. It responds to a logical reason, and if it responds to a logical reason, it's a natural defense and reaction of the body. That's why I don't believe in social anxiety in that context. He said, he mentioned a drunk person yelling or trying to do anything that does not obey to logic. Sitting in a restaurant, other people start shouting or acting like animals. He's mentioning acting like animals, shouting. That's not social anxiety, I'm sorry. That is called being educated. Having good education by his parents, if you ask me. And I think everyone should be like that. And I think the person shouting should be ejected from the restaurant. Your reviews have become more IRL directing. I think that's not social anxiety. Wait, I didn't read his comment. You should explain what it is. I said that so he can. I mean, social anxiety is that when you feel like everybody staring at you, or talk about you, or laughing about you. Like, wait, is that when you feel like when everybody's staring at you? No, uh, that might be paranoia in that sense, thinking that everyone is thinking about you. They are not thinking about you. What you mentioned is acting like animals, and a drunk individual. That's an absolutely logic response. Yeah, more of a paranoid. I always go to the store and already imagine something very bad will happen to me, or something embarrassment. Okay, but that's also natural of your age. That's also natural of your age, Patrick, of being a teenager. In that sense, that's also natural of your age. It's natural of your age because of natural biological chemical reactions in your brain. Because your brain is growing. Doesn't have to do with that. What you describe is perfectly fine. If it was for me, the person yelling at the restaurant, the person drunk would go to jail. Sorry, I'm a beast. The person publicly drunk on the public street instead of at his home. At his home is one thing. On the street, to jail 5 years. I'm sorry. I know that I am the worst of the worst. To jail 5 years for being drunk in a public space. The people yelling, a fine of 1,000 euros. A fine of 1,000 euros. I'm sorry. I should have been born 100 years before, probably. It's lack of courtesy in general and education. And lack of courtesy in general and education should be punished. I'm sorry. It's not. You are not the one to. And this is what happens. Why is it that you thought that you had social anxiety because of that? Because when society does not assume the responsibility, think about this, please, Patrick. What's easier for a leader? To correct a single person like you who feels uncomfortable in the presence of a drunk beast in a public space, acting like an animal, because you describe it like that. Shouting was more difficult. Correcting you, a single individual, making you think that it's your fault because of your social anxiety, or bringing a police officer and telling to a huge group of people, to a whole society, no, you cannot do that. The psychological figure of a proper father. No, you cannot do that. If you do that, there will be consequences and you will be punished. What's more difficult for a leader out of the two options that I give you? It's easier to make you, the real victim of the situation, think that you are responsible because of your own deficiencies, because of social anxiety, and that's when they start inventing attention. No, it's your fault. You have attention deficit syndrome. You have autism. You have this. No, I will explain it to you. You have in this weird spectrum of 300 genders. You are in the category 274, and because of that, you are special. It's easier to grab a small portion of the population, trick them into thinking it's their fault, instead of having two nice balls, and sorry for talking in these terms, having the courage, let's say, and bringing a nice police officer, and the person who is behaving like a beast, send him to jail for 5 years with community service. It's more difficult because you have to take responsibility for the shortcomings of others. Instead, like this, the authority is telling you, no, it's you that you have a problem, you have social anxiety. That's why I do not believe in modern reports of that. Because there's a correlation between that and governments not wanting to tell people unpopular things. Precisely what I do here. Unpopular things. If you get drunk, you are killing yourself. If you get drugged, you are killing yourself. You need help. You have no control over yourself. Because you have no control over yourself, you are sadly being ignorant. Yes, you are ignorant, and you need to be corrected by those who are not ignorant. See, that is quite unpopular to listen to this, even in this context. It's quite unpopular, and since politicians need votes, they are populists. Why? Because they will tell you whatever you want to listen to, so you don't get angry. But fortunately, in my case, it's not my role, and I can tell you that getting drunk is bad, and I would put the person in jail. I would put the person in jail with community service. One thing is to get drunk alone at home in your private property, but you are mentioning a restaurant. You are mentioning a public space where you have to respect others' right to also be there, acting like animals, shouting, etc. Then yes, you are disturbing a public space. Yeah, in this world, being corrected is equal to, oh, you want to control my life, this is my opinion, I didn't ask yours. Well, precisely. But think about that. What is easier? What is easier? To correct, or to make you believe that it's your fault, or to actually take responsibility for the situation and correct the drunk person in your specific example? It's more difficult to correct all of the drunk people in the world, in that sense. It's more difficult. I don't mean that they don't drink alcohol. I don't drink alcohol. If you want to drink alcohol, drink alcohol. Try not to get drunk. Try not to get drunk. And if you happen to do so at home privately. You didn't describe that. You described a public space in which other people have the same right as the drunk individual. So no. No. And that's why. That's why I'm telling you that you don't have any social anxiety. I don't believe in that. And what you are mentioning is just as about the going to the store and imagining something very bad will happen to you, and etc. Well, it may have to do with natural perceptions of reality as well. The Patrick, you told me that in your country, all in all, you have seen people with a knife on the street. Then how is it not a natural reaction being afraid of going to the store? If you've seen, which one was it that you said, Leonidas? I think it was that day in which I became affiliate. Leonidas, it was that Leonidas was there at the store with a knife, with a knife. If that is a context, if you see that you are telling me that your prime minister is giving money to people who don't behave and etc., it's a natural reaction. I don't see the paranoia involves, and the social anxiety and everything. Those things involve not responding to logic, and you are responding to logic according to what you are telling me. If you see a person on the street with a knife, if you see that the government encourages the existence of that, how are you not going to be afraid? Besides, at your age, at the age of 17 or 18, it's absolutely natural. It's an absolutely natural reaction. This should all be naturalized like this. That is a natural reaction, and that the politicians should do something about it. The authority has to do something about it. You feel that authority is not imposing itself. That is the problem. You feel that there's a lack of authority in your immediate context. Not that I'm scared for my life, but I can't take embarrassing people easy. If they act like a damn funk, it's making me uncomfortable. That's a natural reaction. Pillow, how are you doing, Pillow? Yo, how are you doing, Pillow? We are talking about social anxiety here, and I'm telling Patrick, I have a divisive opinion for you, Pillow. modern reports of attention deficit syndrome and autism. I do not believe in them. I think you won't find anyone with a more unpopular opinion than that. If you that I know that you like the debate. No, by the way, are you better from last time? I saw you quite affected by the part of Russia and those things. Don't be like that. I hope never ever something like that happens and that you have a long, amazing life. I wish you that. Have you seen what the fucking Ataturk? But it seems that's not everyone has natural reaction to it. My parents can perfectly take embarrassing because they are older, Patrick. Because they are older. Because they are older. And you will be like that. Trust me. And you will be like that. Because they are older. Because they are older. Because they are older, Patrick. Because they are older. Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry. If you ask them, I bet they will be able to perfectly explain to you why that is the case. Ataturk committed? If you're talking about our friend Ursula, our great friend Ursula, I don't know. Otherwise, I don't know who the person might be. The Ataturk Komi. If it's our friend Ursula, I don't know. She could do whatever we could think about. Uh, I don't know which one is it. Ah, well, no, Pillow. No, Pillow. No, we've entered into filth territory. So, I'm gonna go to sleep, boss. Thank you for the debate. Have a great night. Okay, Patrick, but never. Now I get to you, Pillow. Patrick, have a great night, and trust me, all of the things that you mentioned to me in the end about the social anxiety and that, it's because of the age. It's absolutely natural, and it will change. Don't you worry about it. You don't have any problem. You are a perfectly fine, functional individual, very intelligent at your age, and it's not the case with all of those things. Take my 2 cents for that. Uh, and trust me, they are logical reactions at your age. You are not aware of it, but uh, our brain suffers chemical reactions as we grow. As we grow. And don't worry about it. Have a great night, and I always enjoy your company and debate. Pillow. Okay, the person that you are mentioning, he shocked his dog on stream for 4 hours just so it stayed in frame. And well, anyhow, how are you? Okay, the person that you are mentioning, Pillow, I am sorry, is the same person who said that the United States deserved a certain event that happened in 2001. He said that not so long ago. It's the reason why he became famous in the first place. I think he is a putrid illiterate, an absolute psychopath. I think the person is a psychopath, and I would send him to jail without a doubt. Yes, I would send him to jail. I am sorry that I'm way too conservative for anyone listening. I don't know, maybe even to you. I would send I have said on stream. I said it to District the other day about another one who created a riot. I think it was I Show Speed or whatever. I don't know which one it was. That created a riot in New York. I would send the person to jail. I would say I would send the person to jail because of that initial phrase, without a doubt. I would send the person to jail with community service for 30 years, probably. The leader of the pseudo intellectual 16-year-old Twitter comic cult of a group, yeah, etc. How are you? I'm good. I'm good, Pillow, and I hope you are doing. I'm doing. You are doing better with all of the things happening in the world. I don't know how our consciousness could ever be. We could ever have sanity again, but still, that's still. I just pulled out a gin. Okay, you're doing good. I do know I don't drink. I don't drink, and I don't smoke. I'm quite boring regarding those things. But yeah, I have a lot of friends who do those things. In 15 minutes, my body should come. Who, your body? I don't smoke either. Okay, okay. Your body should come. No, regarding the leader of the student editor Twitter coming effect. Well, could I tell you? Since he said that, I would send the person to jail. Just an old friend, okay, okay, okay. And and I would send the person to jail. And I think the level of illiteracy that we are seeing right now, I don't know if you'll agree with me, is astonishing. It's astonishing. It's astonishing. That person is a terrible influence for anyone under 18 or beyond 18 even, because now we have a prolonged adolescence, let's say, in society, a bit. Sadly, we have a prolonged adolescence in that sense. Yeah, I think it's the worst, most putrid influence ever. The I was commenting as well that I don't believe it. You have to check out the VOD of yesterday's stream. You have to check it out, because I talked about. I have a divisive opinion for you. I have a divisive opinion. Obama's government opinion on it. I think it was a genocide. And you know how much I love the US, that I'm pro-US. But I think Obama's period was a genocide against its own people. Ask me something. Anything. What's your opinion on Obama's period? And I shall ask you something too. Ask me anything as well. That's the point. 4 out of 10. Okay, I didn't expect that, because you criticized Bush. So, I didn't expect that, as Obama was the opposite, and by logic, if it was the opposite of something that you didn't like, maybe you didn't. I would give it maybe 5. No, I would, of course, give it a fucking 0. I think it was a genocide like Stalin and like the mustache man from Germany. I think it was a genocide. I explained all of the reasons yesterday, but you weren't, so I can repeat them. It's in between. I think there was a genocide. Let's say 4.5. I think it was a genocide due to the fact that it created unrealistic expectations for a lot of women in the US, that they all wanted millionaires to be married to millionaires, and there were a lot of children unborn, and our society is still suffering the consequences of it, and I think it was a genocide. They also taught children to hate their parents. I think they also taught children to hate their parents. What? Yes, I think it's because of that. I think there was a lot of unborn babies because of his policies, because of abortion and encouraging the diversity and inclusion of things. And I thought, what the hell you mean? Yes, I think. Well, give me a second. Let me deal with the boss, and I'll tell you. I said it yesterday. I'll tell you why. I have reasons. I can give you my word. I have pretty good logical reasons, whether they are shared or not. But I have my reasons. Give me a second. Because if I kill this boss, I can finally unlock legendary difficulty after 10 years. Okay. Give me a sec. It shouldn't take long. Give me a sec. I cannot believe that after 10 years I will finally have legendary difficulty unlocked. Get out of there. Sorry, but I need to. you arrived right at the correct moment for the final boss fight of a 10-year-old crusade. I mean, he recovered the mana. One sec. Okay, here my question. Yeah, now I explain it and address your question. I'll do both. Place your question. Now we debate. Anyways, this is the end of the expansion. We can debate endless. Give me a sec. Almost there. Nice. There we go. So, we'll go in order as you formulate the question. As you formulate the question that you are typing it. I think what you're talking about abortion. Not only that, that would be one of the elements. But I would say it's the combined factors of that. But above abortion, I would also say, of course, besides abortion, it's the combined relationship between abortion, of course, same-sex marriage, and an overall unrealistic expectations for the modern women, and the fourth element, the worst one, telling children that their parents are stupid, because that's the message nowadays. I don't know if you agree with that one, but I think the message during the Obama administration has been that our parents are stupid. Pretty much, people in our 30s, in our 20s, that our parents are stupid. Let's not even talk about people that are right now teenagers. Your parents are stupid. A new age of enlightenment, like Nietzsche and Immanuel Kant did in the 1700s. If you ask me, it was like a neo enlightenment, as I see it. Why? Because once again, it tried to destroy everything before it by telling children that their parents are stupid, which of course I disagree with. And I think that because of that specific context, concept, it was a genocide, similar to Stalin and similar to the mustache man from Germany. Because of how much you know that I love the United States and Western culture in general, I think that attack on the same population of the United States it should be considered a genocide in that sense. Okay, it's because of that. It's because the relationship. If you consider, besides the context, now I get to yours. The context. The context is that 2008, the economic system was broken because of precisely as well Obama's administration. Because he didn't know enough about economy, in my opinion. He didn't know about economy. So he increased social expenditure. So to the point it broke it. So he broke the pension system. If you connect that with the fact that then abortion, with the fact of same-sex marriage and all of that, doesn't give you the impression that they were trying to stop people from having children. And there's the idea of the genocide. In that sense. Not actively, but by omission would be. Not actively, but through an omission. Through reducing the birth rate, in that sense, of the population in an unnatural way. It's because